Okay, so we are recording, and I'm going to give it like another, let's say 30 seconds. In the meantime, I'm gonna eat an apple. Because I'm starving. But we're gonna get started in just a second. I'm gonna pull up the slides. They are ready to go. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna finish chewing this and then I'll start. So who's calling in from area code 240?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I just unmuted your line.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's me, child. I'm on two separate phones. One phone's dying and the other one, so I'm...
Oh, that's you, Mia. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, interesting. All right, cool. Hey, Mia.
Hi.
Mia, Shaida, Aretha, Kimberly, G, which I think is Glory, although not 100%. All right, cool. And then, all right, let me turn on the slides. Give me 1 second to do that. Share. Okay, so I'm going to, okay, so just a couple things to start. I am recording. All of your lines are muted. Depending on how you are accessing this class, if you're on the Zoom link and you didn't necessarily like dial in, but if you're on the Zoom link, then you can type in chat. You can type in questions. And I believe there is a like raise your hand feature if you have a question while I'm talking and going through the material. If you can't find it, or if you dialed into the call, don't worry about it. I will pause at a couple different intervals and ask for questions. All of that good stuff. I don't know why this is just going. My slides are just going and they should be going. Oh boy. Gotta love. Really? That's what we're doing now? Okay. All right. So I will pause, as I was saying, to allow you guys to ask questions. Sometimes it's easier to ask them in the moment than it is to wait until the end. So I will try to remember to pause through the material so that you guys can ask questions. Before I get started, let me just unmute everyone and make sure you guys are all okay. I know there's an option to unmute everyone, I guess. Maybe not. So before we get started, I'm trying to unmute people, but it won't let me. It's letting me unmute some people, but not everyone. I don't know why. Zoom is acting retarded right now. So I've unmuted the people that I can. So if you have any questions before we get started, go ahead and ask me now, and we'll take care of that, and then I will dive into the material. Anyone have any questions? Can you all hear me okay? Were you able to see the screen when I was sharing it?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay, cool. So I'm going to mute everybody again, reshare, and then get started. Awesome sauce. And by the way, I do say that a lot. Just bear with me. I don't know why, but it's a thing now. Okay, so everyone is muted. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to resume share. Okay, so we are here to talk about the 8 ways to promote hormone balance naturally. You guys, in a lot of the posts that I have been putting on social media the last couple of days, I've talked about how PMS and fibroids and endometriosis and somebody's not muted. Let me see if I can find out who it is. Oh, there we go. PMS, PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome, endometriosis, menopause, infertility, all of those things are driven by hormonal imbalance. And as you guys know, they come with some really crappy symptoms: fatigue, weight gain, poor sleep, acne, thinning hair, hot flashes, mood swings, anxiety, depression. We're going to cover all of that. And even though society, in a lot of ways, our own family history, in a lot of ways, just how women are raised, we are led to believe these things are just part of life, right? Like PMS is just what happens when you start having your period, and pop a Midol, indulge your cravings, and get on with your life. Menopause is just this period in our life that we have to suffer through, and low sex drive and weight gain and hot flashes are all just part of the situation, and there's nothing you can do about it. So just suck it up and deal with it, right? That's how, our moms and older aunts and grandmothers and great grandmothers, they just kind of push through it, not really understanding that there is a whole lot they can do about it. And what I'm going to share with you tonight are 8 of those things that you can start doing. And I will point out little caveats along the way, and answer questions. And then we'll talk about at the end sort of next steps. So like, now that you have this information, what do you do now? So I'll give you some next steps to help you get started. Okay. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about estrogen dominance, which is one of the primary drivers of hormonal imbalance, what it is and how it might be showing up in your body, who I am and why you should listen to me. And then we're going to get into the 8 different ways that you can start promoting healthy hormonal balance in your body naturally. Okay, so estrogen dominance. It is literally, so ED, you will hear ED referred to as erectile dysfunction sometimes, so you have to be careful and make sure you understand context. And the person that you're speaking with understands context, because if you say ED, for a lot of people, they're going to think erectile dysfunction. So just make sure that, make it clear that you're talking about estrogen dominance. It typically shows up in 2 ways. One is that you have an insufficient amount of progesterone that is supposed to balance out the estrogen that you have in your body. And that form, so estrogen has many forms. I'm not going to go into all the biology behind it. It can be very overwhelming, but let's just suffice it to say that estrogen comes in a lot of different forms. And there is a quote unquote, an aggressive form that has been connected to the growth of, fibroids, cancers, endometrial tissue, that kind of thing. So when you don't have enough progesterone to balance out the estrogen in your body, you will have symptoms of estrogen dominance. The other way that you end up having estrogen dominance is when you have essentially too many estrogen metabolites in your body, circulating in your body. And we'll get into like how that happens and obviously what you're going to do about it. But essentially that's like you have too much estrogen in your system. And it's not necessarily because you're making too much. Oftentimes, as we'll see as we get into this material, it is based on the estrogen that is coming into the body from sources that you probably don't even consider having an effect on your estrogen. So we'll talk about that for sure, because that is a lot of what I want to cover today, is where this other estrogen might be coming from. In ways that you can balance the estrogen. So if you have issue number 1, where you don't have enough progesterone, there are things that you can do to help promote more production of progesterone in your body to help balance out that estrogen. It isn't always about reducing the amount of estrogen. You might have, for your age, you might have the appropriate amount of estrogen, but if you don't have enough progesterone, that's going to give you those negative side effects. And you might be making, even if you're in menopause, you might be making good amounts of estrogen still. But if you're not breaking it down, if you're not excreting it out of the body, it just kind of adds to the volume that's already there, giving you the symptoms of having too much estrogen. Hopefully that's making sense. And like I said, I'll stop and ask for questions shortly. So what leads to estrogen dominance? Well, there's a lot of things, but for starters, poor liver function. A lot of people aren't aware that the liver plays over 500 different roles in our body. It does a lot. It is literally called the workhorse organ because it has a role in just about every metabolic function that's going on in your body. The liver has some role in that. And so if your liver is sluggish, if it's overburdened with toxins, with, medications, chemicals, it, just isn't performing at top level. And that can definitely lead to hormonal imbalance. Inappropriate diet, and we'll talk a lot about that. But, large amounts of factory farmed meat and refined carbohydrates and sugar can lead to hormonal imbalance. Nutritional deficiencies, specifically magnesium, B12, folate, zinc, copper, etc. And I want to caveat this by saying, please do not go out and start taking magnesium, vitamin B, folate, zinc, copper. Don't go out and do just a random liver cleanse, right? It's very important to understand what type of hormonal imbalance you specifically have. Get the proper testing done so you can see what might be causing it in your body. These are just some of the things that can lead to it. But get the proper testing done so that you can see what might be your underlying causes and then address those, right? So going out and just taking magnesium, going to douse yourself in vitamin B12 or zinc or copper can just literally aggravate the problem. So I just want to caveat that by saying, like, these are just some of the things. They're not necessarily what's causing your specific imbalance. Gut issues, and we'll talk about how the gut plays a role in hormonal imbalance a little bit later. But if your gut is leaky, if you're not absorbing food properly, if you're not breaking down food properly, all of those things, if you have an imbalance of gut bacteria, all of those things could help lead to a hormone imbalance. Chronic constipation, right? So when we're not pooping on a regular basis, and let me just say that you are constipated if you're not having a bowel movement at least once a day. Ideally, good poopers are having 1 to 3 bowel movements a day, and they're a good form. They're not loose. They're not hard. You don't have to spend 3 hours trying to get them out. You feel complete when they are, when you're finished. So 1 to 3 bowel movements a day is the goal. If you're not having that, then I would say that you are likely constipated, and it's aggravating the problem. It might be the cause. It might not be the cause. It might be one of the causes, one of many causes, but it's definitely not helping the problem for sure. Alcohol, unfortunately, consuming more than 2 drinks per week tends to drive up levels of estrogen in the body. And consequently, it slows down fat burning. So if you're experiencing one of the signs of estrogen dominance, which is weight gain that you can't explain, and you're having a couple of drinks a week, you might just be keeping yourself in a cycle. Okay. And unfortunately, this is sort of a double whammy. Being overweight in and of itself can raise levels of estrogen because our fat cells actually produce their own estrogen. Sucks, right? Because we have ovaries that are producing estrogen. We have other things that are producing estrogen. We're taking in estrogen from outside of our bodies. And then great, the fat that we're trying to get rid of is now producing its own form of estrogen. Isn't that just lovely? But it is indeed the truth and something that you guys need to know so that you can be aware of it, right? So some of the signs of estrogen dominance: you have tender or fibrocystic breast. You might have cancer of the breast, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer. All of those tend to be heavily related to estrogen. Fibroids, endometriosis, PMS, a nodule on your thyroid, cellulite on the butt or on the thighs, water retention if you notice that you're always swollen, weight gain, specifically around the butt and the hips, infertility, irregular periods, lack of ovulation. The two are not the same. You can ovulate even if you don't have a period. Trust me, I know. I had irregular periods forever, because I had PCOS, and one of the things the doctor told me was, we don't know when you're ovulating. You could be ovulating every month even though you're not having a period. But lack of ovulation as well as irregular periods are a sign that there's a hormone imbalance going on. If you're always depressed, moody, mood swings, you kind of go from like 0 to 60 really quickly, painful periods, irritability, and sleep issues. If you're perimenopausal or menopausal, you can add to the list hair loss, bloating, difficulty losing weight, fatigue, insomnia, decreased sex drive, foggy brain, memory loss, not being able to focus or concentrate, and just literally you feel like crap. All signs of estrogen dominance. So before we go into what do you do about it, let me just introduce myself. Some of you on here know me. Others of you, I think, are new to me. And for those of you watching the replay that are new, my name is Shaneri Williams. I am a retired project manager. I worked in the corporate world for about 20 years doing project management work for technology at Citibank and Merrill Lynch. Traveled all over the world in my job doing multi-million-dollar projects. And as I was on this fast track up the corporate ladder, if you will, I started to get sick, started to feel really tired all the time. I was picking up weight, which had never been one of my issues. Acne, my sex drive plummeted. And after 5 years of trying the different diets and the cleanses and the miracle supplements and the fat burners and the gym memberships and the personal trainers and cutting out gluten and reducing sugar and all of that, got nowhere. I lived in New York City at the time and had what I thought were some of the best doctors, and they literally could not find anything wrong with me. They kept doing tests and saying, nope, everything looks fine. I found out later that they weren't doing the right test, and they weren't, more importantly, they weren't looking at my symptoms. They weren't really listening. So they weren't listening to what I was saying, and they weren't looking at the labs that they were drawing holistically, right? So they couldn't see where things were missing. When I eventually found a doctor that did more advanced testing, and he sat down and we had like an hour-long initial consultation, and he literally listened to what I was saying about how I was feeling and things that I had been noticing, he was able to pull the whole thing together and realize that, you know, the testing showed that I had almost no vitamin D in my body, that I was really low in magnesium, that my inflammation markers were really high, that my thyroid antibodies were off the chart high, that my liver was sluggish, and, you know, all these other things. And so he gave me the diagnosis of Hashimoto's. At that time, I was actually already in nutrition school because I'd finally gotten to the point where I realized nothing was going to help me. The doctors weren't going to save me. The things that I had been trying on my own, just kind of reading a blog here, reading a book here, listening to Dr. Oz, you know, following this person, that person, I realized none of that was going to work, and that I needed to really understand how the body and nutrition work together. And so I enrolled into nutrition school. So by the time I got my diagnosis, and I was like, oh, this is an autoimmune disease. I understand what that means. I know that it's not about my thyroid. My thyroid is just being, is the symptom of what is of the other things going on in my body. And so with that information, I was able to put together a diet and a lifestyle program for myself that shifted everything. And I'm happy to say that I never had to take thyroid medication, luckily. A doctor did try to give it to me, and I said, no thanks. I'm going to try a holistic approach first. If that doesn't work, the medication will always be here. Lucky for me, it actually worked, and so I never had to get on the medication, but it did require some, you know, big changes to diet, to lifestyle, to all of that. And it is what I teach now to my clients. So that's in a nutshell, that's a little bit about me. Consequently, I ended up quitting my job 2 years after I had enrolled into nutrition school. I had already started my business at the time. I was kind of doing my business on the side. And then 2 years in, I decided to go full time and have been doing it full time ever since. So that's it about me. And before I move on, so I have studied environmental toxins. I work very functionally. So unlike what my doctors had been doing to me for years, I look at the entire body as one interconnected piece. So if you're coming to me with menopause symptoms or PCOS or thyroid problem or any kind of autoimmune problem, or diabetes or hypertension or high cholesterol, any of that, I'm looking at the upstream root causes, right? So I'm more interested in how you got there than I am in what diagnosis you have. And for me, it's always working backwards. So you have Hashimoto's. Great. Okay. So I know that means we need to look at your digestion. I know that means we need to look at your liver function. I know that that means we need to look at your gut health, and we need to look at, I just had it, liver, gut health. Oh, and certain lifestyle habits, right? So how are you sleeping? Are you constipated? We need to look at nutritional deficiencies. What are you intaking adequate amounts of all the critical vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that your body needs? And it's not about the thyroid itself. So I'm not going to just because you have a thyroid problem, I'm not going to start putting you on thyroid glandulars or herbs that specifically target the thyroid, because 9 times out of 10, that is not the problem. The problem is everything else. So looking at the other stuff and creating a customized plan to help bring those things back into balance. And the body will do what it naturally does. The body is always looking for homeostasis. It is always looking for balance. And once you understand that and you understand how to support it, then it just can go in and do what it's supposed to do. And you will find that healing becomes a lot easier than the things that you've probably have been doing and trying for a really long time. That was the case for me. And that is the case for most of my clients. Once they understand what's going on, I create a protocol for them based on what's going on in their unique body. Their body kind of is like, oh, great, this is what we've been waiting for. We need some of that. And we need less of this other thing. And then the body can sort of take over and do what it does. Okay. So moving on. So what do you do, right? So if you have estrogen dominance or you have this hormonal imbalance and you're not sure if it's because you don't have enough progesterone or you're not metabolizing estrogen properly, what do you do about it? So I'm going to go through 8 things that you can start doing right now. The first is eat more cruciferous vegetables every day. And those are things like broccoli, kale, cabbage, bok choy, collard greens. They all have a compound called indole 3-carbinol. And that really just helps promote a less potent, less aggressive form of estrogen. Also, when you're eating those foods and your gut is in a good shape, it can actually break down the indole 3-carbinol and it gets converted into DIM. DIM is really great at helping to balance your hormones and decrease your risk for certain hormone related cancers, right? So the breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, etc. DIM also helps promote antioxidant activity in the body, which are, it goes in and takes those free radicals. That's how it helps to fight the cancer. DIM helps support weight loss, enhances energy, mood, improves memory, supports strong bones and healthy joints, increases healthy muscle development, which is important as we age, improves cardiovascular health, and also helps improve prostate health in men. Again, please do not go out and start taking tons and tons of DIM, or you will go to this, now that you're aware of indole 3-carbinol and DIM, you will see ads. You will see these supplements in the grocery stores or in the health food stores. I urge you to make sure that they are the appropriate move for you specifically before you start taking them, right? Because if you do start taking them and this is not where your imbalance lies, you can make things worse. So I'm just saying that this, eating the cruciferous vegetables, that's fine. But going out and taking supplements, I want you to just be very wary of that and make sure that you are following the advice of a practitioner before you start popping supplements. Yes. Okay. That's all I want to say about that before I go too far down a rabbit hole. So the first thing you can start doing is, steaming, sauteing, roasting, whatever flavor you like of those cruciferous vegetables, often. And I know there's some myths out there about, like, if you have thyroid disease, should you eat cruciferous vegetables? Should you not eat cruciferous vegetables? You should eat them. I would stay away from eating them in large quantities raw, because if they are raw, they can, and you do have a thyroid problem, they can aggravate or over time create a nodule or a goiter, on your thyroid. So, but you can always steam them, saute them, roast them. All of that is fine, and it doesn't have the goitrogenic effect. So eat your leafy greens, eat your broccoli, eat your cabbage, eat your collards often. Just if you have a thyroid condition, I would not advise eating it raw in any large amount. Okay. The second thing is you can take some vitamin C. Again, don't go out and start taking 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day. But you can totally load up on citrus fruits and red bell peppers and tomatoes and all of those other fruits and vegetables that have high levels of vitamin C. Again, if you have the red peppers and the tomatoes, be careful if you have problems, sensitivities, or allergies to nightshade vegetables. Those might aggravate it. But things like oranges, lemons, limes, those kinds of things are fine. But vitamin C is really good at helping to manage progesterone levels. So if you have that first form of ED where you're not producing enough progesterone to help balance out the really aggressive estrogen, then taking some vitamin C will definitely help with that. Vitamin C helps ensure proper sleep and emotions, which is, one of the symptoms we talked about with ED is that you're not sleeping well and that you might be moody, depressed, anxious. So vitamin C helps calm the body in that way. And it's often, ironically, a lot of people, it's one of the most common types of imbalance that we find, especially women past the age of 30. So, if you're noticing that you are having mood swing issues, depression, anxiety, your sleep patterns are off, then amping up on some of those citrus fruits and things would be a good way to test that out. Start consuming more of it consciously and notice what's happening in your body when you do. The third way that we can help manage hormonal imbalance is Clary Sage essential oil. I am a huge fan of essential oils. I'll just really quickly state that not all essential oils are created equally. I'm a doTERRA essential oil fanatic. It's the only oil I use. It's the only one I recommend. They've been proven over and over again to be clean in terms of no pesticides, no additives, no synthetics, etc., but also very potent as well. So you get the intended effect from their oils. So I use Clary Sage on a regular. I just used them today because had a little headache related to my cycle. Estrogen dips a little bit leading up to your cycle, so you can get a headache sometimes. And I had a little headache today, so I just put a little Clary Sage in my temples, and honestly, it went away. Cramps, Clary Sage is great for swollen breasts, tender breasts, cramps, all of that. I literally, the first time I used it, put some on my stomach because I had, mild cramps. They weren't horrible. And like a couple of minutes later, I noticed they were gone. And I just thought it was like a crazy, weird coincidence. But the next day they came back, and this time I was like, I'm going to pay attention and see how long it actually takes. So I put the oil on my belly and set a timer. And it was literally like 5 minutes or maybe like a little less, and they were gone. I've given this oil or suggested this oil to clients that have endometriosis and really bad fibroids, and they've had the same exact experience, that like the pain was just gone. My client who almost had a hysterectomy because her endometriosis pain was so bad. She cleaned up her diet. She did a couple of these things that we're going to talk about in here, but one of them was getting the Clary Sage, and it was better. She had a much better experience with the oil than she did having taken painkillers for her endometriosis pain for years. So, yeah, it's really good. If you're interested in talking to me about the Clary Sage oil or any essential oil in general, we can definitely do that. But I highly recommend Clary Sage. doTERRA makes a blend called Clary Calm. So it does have the Clary Sage in it, but also has like Roman chamomile and some other things. It comes in a roller bottle, so it's a little bit easier to apply. That's what I use most of the time, but either one works. But Clary Sage is quick and easy. You can take it with you. You can put it on no matter where you are. So it's good to take with you if you're traveling, if you need to apply it while you're at work or while you're at school, etc. It's a nice and easy one to use. So Mia has a question. All right, let me go and unmute Mia. Give me 1 second. Hey, Mia.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to make sure so the clarification. So doTERRA does sell a Clary Sage essential oil.
Yes, they sell the Clary Sage oil itself, and then they have a blend called Clary Calm.
Okay. Can I ask another question that you may cover, or with regards to the testing and whole picture?
Yes.
Okay. So when you mentioned that, what does guidance do you, so you say you have that conversation with your doctor, what things can we bring back to our doctor? Because I want to say thank you. This is a breath of fresh air, because so many symptoms are in women that it's like, here, go left, go right, go left, go right.
Yeah.
But what conversation can we have with our doctor to get them to open their eyes to see, I know something's not right with my body and I need you to pay attention?
That's a good question. And honestly, I wish I had a better answer for you. But for one, I would say, some doctors are just not open-minded. They're just not. And so they're going to do what they do, and that's all they're going to do. So I would say if you have a doctor that's not even willing to listen, find another doctor. To be perfectly honest. The other thing is you can talk to them about like doing a saliva or a urine hormone test. A lot of times doctors just want to do blood tests, but for hormones, especially sex hormones, you get a better indication of what's actually happening inside the body when you do a urine test. That's the best, but second best would be a saliva test. So you can talk to them about doing saliva test or a hormone test. I do, for my clients, I do the urine test. But yeah. And then, I would just say like, you have to really become your own advocate, really. And like, like I said, if a doctor isn't listening or they're not understanding, move on, find another doctor.
Okay. And does it matter if it's your PCP, your primary care, or your gynecologist, or? I
would talk to whoever's willing to listen and help.
Gotcha.
If it's your PCP, oftentimes they can refer you out to an endocrinologist or, a gynecologist that might be more open-minded if they can't help. But a lot of times they can do they can order a lot of these tests themselves. They just have to sort of be willing to do it.
All right. Thank you. That was my 2 questions.
Awesome. Cool. All right. I think, sorry, somebody else has their hand up. Let me see who that is. Oh, okay. So G asked about taking the oil anywhere. How does temperature affect it? So yeah, you don't want your oils to be in an environment that is super hot or super cold. So I wouldn't like bring them to the beach and sit them out in the sun. I wouldn't put them in my refrigerator either. But so when I say take them anywhere, meaning like you could take them on the plane, you could take them on a trip. I would just leave them in the hotel or in the house that you're staying in, you know, or keep it in your purse. Just, you know, try to keep it away from like direct sunlight and extremely cold temperatures. So let me know if that helps you, if you have any other questions about that. I'm glad you guys are asking about the oils. Yay. I love them. I'm definitely like that person that like has oils and usually a crystal in my purse. Just saying. Okay, the fourth thing. So, you know, we often talk in health and wellness about like, oh, you need to add this into your life and add this into your diet and take these supplements. It's always, you know, about adding things in. But today I'm going to give you a mix of like, these are things that you should add in, i.e. vitamin C, cruciferous vegetables, Clary Sage. Excuse me. But we're also, sometimes it's also important to remove certain things from our diet and our lifestyle. And BPA, I'm sure you've heard of it. You probably just don't know what it is or why it's bad for you. But it is a plasticizer and is responsible for making some types of plastics hard and rigid. It's also a very well-known endocrine system disruptor, meaning it is like when it was originally developed, it was actually used as a synthetic form of estrogen, right? So the fact that it's in plastics and it's in some of the things that are touching your food or holding the food, right? Your water, your canned goods, whatever, that kind of chemical is leaching into the food that you buy and the water that you're drinking, or anything that you're drinking that comes in a plastic bottle. So it literally sort of like acts like estrogen in your body. So the way hormones in the body work is that there's like a receptor cell and then the actual hormone, and the two fit together. So in the case of BPA, it actually takes up space in those hormone receptors that prohibit your natural estrogen from being activated, right? So if you think of it like it's, you know, you have 5 hormone receptors for estrogen making it up. And you have this BPA floating around your bloodstream because you drink bottled water all the time. You know, a lot of the food that we buy from the grocery store comes in plastic packaging. And so all of that is circulating in your bloodstream. That BPA is likely to be sitting in those receptors. And so your estrogen is not able to do its job. Your real estrogen is not able to do its job. So what you want to do is you want to go BPA free as much as possible. And what that means is like, you know, swapping out all of those plastic food containers for glass, getting rid of the plastic water bottles and getting a glass one, or getting a stainless steel, a food grade stainless steel water bottle, getting a water filter for your home so that you don't have to buy bottled water, and making sure that you're taking your filtered water with you. I wish I could tell you what water filter to get, but because our water sources are all different, it's difficult to say. What I can say is what I have found to be the most helpful water filter for most people is the Berkey water filter, with when you add on the black water cartridges. It removes a lot of the crap from water that can be a problem. And like I said, the biggest thing is that you have filtered water at home, so you don't have to go out and buy water. Somebody asked a question, is non-BPA water container okay to use? So the non-BPA water containers, what they are is they've been made with BPS as opposed to BPA. And at first when BPS came out, it was seen as like, oh, this is a great, you know, a great replacement. Well, fast forward a couple of years and more studies being done, and it has been uncovered that it's not really any better than BPA. So unfortunately, Mia, no. The best thing is to get a stainless steel water bottle and just use that. So they come in all different sizes. I have one that's like 16 ounces. I have one that's 28 ounces. And I bought one for my boyfriend that's like 40 ounces. I think I've seen them as big as like 60 some odd ounces. So yeah, if you're going away for, you know, more than a day or two, you are likely not going to have enough water with you to be able to take enough water with you. So yes, there are times where you will have to buy water, and that's just what it is. But if you're in your day-to-day life, you can bring water to work. You're drinking good filtered water at home. When you're out on the weekends running your errands, or your kids' games, or, you know, whatever you're doing around town where you live, just make sure you're bringing water from home. It's not about, like, we live in a world where it's impossible to avoid all of the toxins that are going to screw up our hormones and, you know, screw up our body in general. Like, it's just not possible. But it is about, so it's not about like trying to avoid that. If you did, you'd want to live in a bubble, trust me. And that's not feasible. So it is about doing the best you can as often as possible. So day in and day out, if you're drinking your filtered water, if you're cooking with the filtered water, you are avoiding a lot of the stuff already. And then, you know, on the rare occasion where you're traveling, you know, you run out of water while you're out later than you expected, and you run out of water and you have to buy some water. It is what it is. Okay. All right. So the fifth thing that you can do to help balance hormones is incorporate chasteberry. So chasteberry is also known as Vitex. And it is really, really helpful in relieving PMS, menopause symptoms, and helping to balance hormones enough so that you can get pregnant if that is something that you're looking to do. So it actually works by decreasing levels of the hormone prolactin, and helps rebalance other hormones, including estrogen and progesterone. It helps to actually boost your body's natural production of progesterone. So again, if your estrogen dominance is really a matter of not having enough progesterone, taking something like chasteberry can help. You may have to take it for like 3 months to begin to notice any improvement, especially if you're looking at it for like PMS issues, period problems, that kind of thing. I've noticed that it can take 1 or 2 cycles, sometimes 3 cycles, to notice an improvement. Sometimes people notice a difference right away. I actually had my client with endometriosis also taking this, and it definitely helped her. It took her about 2 months, I think, before she started to notice it, but definitely. And so it comes in different forms. You can find it in capsule form. I actually like taking the dried berry and making a tea that you can drink. Where can you get chasteberry from? I order my chasteberry. So any local herb shop that you have in, you know, where you live will have chasteberry. You might have to ask them for Vitex if they don't recognize chasteberry. They should, but it goes by both names. So sometimes you can ask for Vitex, sometimes you can ask for chasteberry. If you don't have a local herb shop, or you don't know where it is, or you simply don't feel like going there, I purchase from mountainroseherbs.com. I think they have, I'm pretty sure their chasteberry is organic. And again, I like to buy the little dried berries. They kind of look like peppercorns. And then I get like one of those little metal tea strainer things, and I just kind of scoop up enough of the berries to fit in 1/2 of the little tea strainer, and drop it into some hot water and let it sit for like 5 minutes. You can mix it with a tea that you like. So if you don't love the taste of the chasteberry, it doesn't taste bad. I actually like it by itself, but sometimes I will mix it with like green tea or peppermint tea or whatever. Just because, you know, added nutrients in green tea, and peppermint is really good for stomach upset and that kind of thing. So depending on my mood, I will mix it, but you can mix it and it still will have its same effect. Again, chasteberry is not something you want to take long term. It can be a little heavy on the liver after a while. So a couple of months, see how you're feeling, see how things are shifting. And then it's something that, you know, you can cycle on and off depending on your symptoms and what you're dealing with. All right. Number 6, eating organic, and also making sure like your meat, if you're a meat eater, is grass-fed or pasture-raised. The average consumer is exposed to between 10 and 13 pesticides in their food and water every single day. Most of those pesticides, like atrazine, are widely used, and they are directly linked to belly fat, which is a thing that us women hate, as well as insulin resistance, which is your body being unable to handle sugar well. Hold on, another question. Are there particular things chasteberry shouldn't be mixed with? G, not to my knowledge. I haven't come across, as with any herbs, if you're taking medications, if you're taking other supplements, you should have someone just kind of double check that there's no contraindications. But I haven't come across any that is coming to mind just yet. But whenever you're bringing herbs or vitamins, minerals, you just want to make sure that you're not already taking, supplements or medications that could be a problem. And just a word on like vitamins and minerals in general. I'm not a fan of like multivitamins or multi-mineral type formula supplements, because without understanding where your body is specifically, taking a multivitamin can give you too much of something, while you have too little of something else. And so you're going to be in this vicious cycle of trying to solve a problem that you're aggravating by taking a vitamin that has, low doses of everything, right? Sometimes you don't. If you're at a perfect balance for vitamin A, naturally, taking a supplement that's going to give you more vitamin A plus the foods that you're eating that contain vitamin A might give you too much. So it's really important to know what supplements you're taking and making sure that you're taking just the ones that you need. Okay. Okay. So Mia asked a question about organic. What does it really mean? You're seeing more and more products with this, and it's hard to gauge the difference in what to purchase, believe. Right. Okay. So organic basically means that it's food that's grown without harmful pesticides. So there are some pesticides used in organic foods, but they are generally, they're more naturally based. So it's like a mix of like natural things that combined have a pesticide effect on the foods, but it's not things like atrazine. Atrazine is just a straight up chemical. So what happens when you buy organic is you're buying food that honestly the farmers have to work a lot harder to grow because it takes more hands-on. That's why organic is generally more expensive, because instead of just spraying the entire crop with atrazine and other pesticides, farmers actually have to go out and do a lot of the work by hand. But a lot of those pesticides come with negative effects to your hormone health, to your neurological health. So in the case of like little kids who are eating a lot of foods, vegetables, fruit that are heavily sprayed with pesticides, it could damage or decrease or impact the way that they are developed, the way that their brain is developing over time as they age, as they grow up. So if you're really looking to get your hormones intact, then eating organic and buying hormone-free meat. I'm sure you guys have all heard that, like, they give animals growth hormone so that they grow faster and heavier, and so that they can be slaughtered and you get the good cuts of the beef and the chicken and all that. But every time an animal is given hormones, you're consuming those hormones also. And so you have your own hormones, and then you're adding to that hormones from the animal, right? Which is leading to all of these women, myself, in the past included, to have too much hormones or not enough, or not the right balance of hormones going on in our body. So eating organic, yes, it can be expensive. It can be hard to find sometimes, you know, depending on where you live. I get all of that. There are lots of ways though, like with internet, there's online shopping, there's Thrive Market, THRIVE Market. It's like an online organic Costco's, if you will. So they don't sell a lot of fresh foods, obviously, but you know, other foods, your cleaning products that you use in your home, a lot of them contain chemicals that we're going to talk about next that are known endocrine disruptors, meaning they are known to cause disruption in your hormonal balance. Thrive sells products that don't have those chemicals in them. So you can start with something like a Thrive. Butcher Box, BUTCHER, box.com. They have the best deal on grass-fed, pasture-raised meat. It's a monthly subscription. You pick and choose what cuts of meat you want. It gets shipped directly to your house frozen. Great quality. I have a subscription to it. I love it. I've mentioned it, you know, a couple of my clients have gotten it. And for about $129 a month, you can easily feed a family of 4 and probably have some meat left over for the next month. So definitely something to look into. If you missed any of that, don't worry about it. I will, when I send out the replay, I will include links to these things, to Thrive Market, to Butcher Box. And the last thing I wanted to mention, when it comes to eating organic in terms of like fruits and vegetables, the Environmental Working Group puts out a list of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 every year. The Dirty Dozen are the top 12 fruits and vegetables that are most heavily sprayed with pesticides. And the Clean 15 are the top 15 fruits and vegetables that are not heavily sprayed. So they're easier, they're safer to buy non-organic. So the Dirty Dozen, you want to buy organic, and the Clean 15, if you're, you know, looking to budget and prioritize, you don't have to worry about buying those organic. I will include the 2019 list of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 with the replay as well, so that when you go shopping, you can say, oh, apples, I got to buy those organic, but avocado, I don't have to. You know, it's that kind of thing. That way you can you can maximize your dollars, essentially. All right, got another question. Do you have suggestions from stores that sell organic fruits, but they don't actually have seeds in them? Is there a place you'd recommend to buy true fruit from? Seedless versus seeds is less about organic versus not. That's more about just the farmer and that particular breed. It doesn't, you know, you can have organic seedless watermelon. But if you want, buying local is always best. So if you have a farmer's market near you, I would definitely advise going to the farmer's market for your fruits and vegetables. Not only because it's closest to you, so they're fresher, and they have more of the vitamins and minerals in them because they're fresher and they're not being shipped from Costa Rica, Mexico, or California, assuming you're on the East Coast. But also because you can talk to the farmers. And most farmers are glad to have a conversation with you about their farming practices. And even if they're a small farm, they might actually be organic, but because the certification is really expensive, they might not have the certification. But if you talk to them, they will tell you about their farming practices and how they farm organic, and you know how they avoid using the pesticides and stuff. So I would definitely look into a farmer's market and making that your go-to. Other than that, if you're at the grocery store, you want to make sure that if something says organic, there's the number 9 that is on the PLU sticker that's on that fruit or vegetable. If it starts with a 4, it's not organic. It's conventional, conventionally grown, meaning pesticides. If it starts with a 9, then it is organic. So that's how you can tell in the grocery store if something that is organic or not. But whether or not it has seeds or doesn't isn't necessarily a sign of it being organic or not. Okay. All right. So these are the chemicals, 2 of the chemicals that I was mentioning about needing to avoid, and why doing things, you know, why reading labels is really important. So parabens and phthalates, you guys may have heard about parabens and like, you know, you should avoid parabens, but you don't really understand why. Well, they're a preservative in many personal care products like shampoos, conditioners, and lotions, but they also are a synthetic form of estrogen. So when you're looking at your lotions, your deodorants, your hair products, you want to make sure you want to look at the ingredient list, right? Don't take for granted if it says paraben free on the marketing on the front of the bottle that it's true. Make sure you look at the ingredient list, because in this country, labels are not very well regulated. And so a lot of companies prefer to take the fine for false marketing than they are in actually producing a product that is actually free of what they say it is. So make sure that you're looking for anything ending in paraben, right? Methylparaben, propylparaben, whatever. There's a list of them. They will always end in paraben. So you just want to make sure that you are avoiding products as much as, again, right, as much as possible, right? When it comes to my hair products, my shampoos, my conditioners are definitely paraben free. But some of my styling products are not. And depending on a particular style I'm looking for, I'm trying to achieve with a given product, I might have to use a product that has paraben in it, right? I try not to do it often. I try to wear my hair just as natural as I can. But you know, there's always going to be a trade-off. So you have to do your best, and don't really strive for perfection, because you will drive yourself insane. Phthalates are another big deal when it comes to endocrine disruptors. And phthalates are not a single chemical, they are a class of chemicals. And you'll see them on products listed as fragrance or parfum or eau de parfum, whatever. If it doesn't say made with natural essential oils, then 99% of the time it's a phthalate. And again, it's an endocrine disruptor. It mimics synthetic estrogen in the body, again, overloading the body with too much estrogen. And just because something is fragrance free, so phthalates are responsible for how things smell. So, you know, the deodorant with the like morning sunshine smell, or the, you know, rainy afternoon smell. Those are just a bunch of different phthalates that they've thrown in there to create a particular smell. But don't be fooled. Fragrance free does not mean phthalate free. There are actually phthalates that they can pull together to mask the smell of other phthalates. So you really have to look at the list and look for phthalate or fragrance or whatever, right? Because they're not going to tell you what phthalate it is. They're not going to call it, and 90% of the time, they're not going to call it a phthalate. They're going to call it some kind of fragrance. So what you want to see on your labels are like essential oils, right? And the name of the particular essential oil. So every plant-based essential oil has, you know, its homogeneous name. That's what you're looking for in your products. And use only products, make your own, you know, making lotions and stuff are super easy when you know how. Pinterest is a great resource for that, by the way. So you want to avoid parabens and phthalates. And don't forget, like, your air fresheners, your laundry detergents, your dishwashing liquids, your household cleaning sprays that you're using, all of them have phthalates. They all have a fragrance in them. So you know, you want to start switching those out as you're finishing your bottle of Dawn, right? I grew up on Dawn. I grew up on Tide. I grew up on Dove. I grew up on Crest toothpaste. Like, those were the only brands my family used. And it broke my heart when I had to like not use Tide laundry detergent, and I had to move away from Dawn dishwashing liquid because they contain phthalates and other things, but phthalates, and switch to other brands. Have you heard of Air Sense for an air freshener? Does it work, or do you recommend it? I have not heard of Air Sense, so I'm not sure. It's fragrance. So with the essential oils, you have to be careful because there are synthetic essential oils as well. So this is where, like, the essential oil conversation, you kind of have to do a little bit of research and make sure that the essential oils that they are touting that they use are actually real, natural, and not synthetic. And sometimes, because the way that this country runs and the way business runs in this country, it is very common for essential oils to have a little bit of real natural essential oil, but then have more synthetic essential oil. And because it just has a little bit, and I think there is a certain standard that it needs to be legally, if the company actually cares about the legality, but there is a certain standard that it must meet to be able to say natural essential oil, but it could actually contain synthetic as well. So this is where, like essential oils, I'm all for it. This is why I stick to the brand that I stick to, because I know that they have been tested by third parties over and over and over again. And the results have always been that, their products are what they say they are. But for air fresheners, like I have my diffuser going on right now, and I have my doTERRA essential oils in my diffuser. So that's how I fragrance my room in my house, or I bring it to events when I'm doing events or workshops or whatever. Because I know it's water and it's the essential oils that I bought from the company that I trust that have been tested. The other things, it's a little hard to tell. I can't say that for sure they aren't legit. I will look into it and see what I can find out. But with a lot of companies, when it comes to essential oils, if they're not posting their lab results, it's a red flag for me, that they might have something to hide. doTERRA posts their lab results for each batch of essential oils it produces. So you can tell what's in there, and you don't have to worry. I love these questions, guys. Keep them up. So let me know if you guys have questions on parabens, phthalates, organic, any of that kind of stuff. The last thing that you absolutely must do, not only for hormone balance, but for good health in general. So again, this goes back to like, no matter what you're dealing with, whether it's diabetes, you just can't seem to lose weight, you get colds and flus all the time, you got crazy allergies, right? We're about to enter the fall, so people are going to be complaining about fall allergies, asthma, whatever. You gotta get your digestion and your gut health together. It's the focal point of all the work that I do with every single client. It affects everything, how you feel. There's a vagus nerve that goes from your brain to your gut, and it sends signals and messages back and forth. And when that nerve is populated or overpopulated with bad bacteria, you will feel depressed. You will feel anxious. You will feel moody. You will feel irritable. All of those negative emotions, simply because that nerve is full of bad bacteria. So your gut health is super important. A lot of people don't realize that our gut actually helps to synthesize certain vitamins, so vitamin E, vitamin K, and some B vitamins. And those vitamins are important for hormone production and balance. So if your gut is not well, then it can't do its job well, which can be lending to why you have a hormone imbalance problem. Good digestion, and again, we're talking about constipation. If you're not having regular bowel movements, then the waste from the hormone, so your body uses a hormone, there's a byproduct, there's a waste byproduct that's left over. If that isn't being excreted because you're constipated, chronically constipated, so many people I talk to have been constipated for like 20, 30 years of their life, then what happens is that hormone waste is just recirculating in your body all day long, lending to its estrogen dominance. So for healthy gut, you definitely, I recommend everyone, if you've ever taken a round of antibiotics, if you eat a lot of sugar, if you don't sleep well, if you have weight problems that you can't get a hold of, I recommend everyone go through an intense gut repair program. At the very least, you can start adding in probiotic foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, Kombucha, if you don't have a sugar problem. If you do have a sugar problem, you want to stay away from the kombucha because it's not going to make it any better. You definitely want to manage stress, and you want to reduce your sugar intake, like sugar, and that includes alcohol and starchy carbs. Those things all definitely affect the health of your microbiome in your gut. So we have some questions on that one. Vagus nerve. What's the name? Yes, vagus nerve. Yes. So what do I mean by sugar problem? So if you have sugar cravings, you crave bread, you crave rice, potatoes, pasta on a regular basis, then it is likely that you have an overgrowth of yeast, which is also known as a candida. If you have a candida problem, if you have a yeast overgrowth, then part of those sugar and carb cravings aren't totally your fault. It is literally the yeast that lives on the sugar that's craving more and more sugar, and you have to get that under control. If you're consuming a lot of sugar, so if you find that you're, having drinks a couple of times a week, if you're, you always need bread or you need something sweet, or you find that you can go a whole day and all of your meals are heavy carbs like breads and pastas and rice, and just, carbs and protein, then I just really want to drive home the point that it is definitely disrupting the delicate balance of bacteria and microbes in your gut. And it's going to, if it hasn't already, it's going to express itself in your body as inflammation, as poor digestion, as nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalance, fatigue, weight gain, acne, thinning hair, loss of hair, weak nails, all of that. So if you think you might have a problem with sugar, if you find that you're really craving it, whether it's, sweets, whether it's carbs, whether it's alcohol, whatever it is, let me know and we can have a conversation about that. But gut health is super, super important. Again, not just to hormone balance, but to everything that's going on in your body. All right, so now what? You have these 8 things, and, definitely start, to the extent that you can, eating more cruciferous vegetables, eating more citrus fruits, looking at labels for the parabens and the phthalates and replacing those products. But really and truly, the first thing you should do is get tested, right? Get a functional blood chemistry analysis, which is just some blood work. But it's a full blood work. It covers all of it. And if possible, get a Dutch hormone test. That way, with the 2 of those, you can really, really see what's going on in your body. You can see how your body is handling sugar. Do you have markers for high levels of inflammation? Are your thyroid markers on point or not? What's going on with your white blood cell count? If they're elevated, it can signal that there's an infection going on somewhere. So really understanding where your specific body is right now would be my first recommendation for you. Once you get the test, then you should work with someone to get a customized dietary and lifestyle plan, right? So it's going to be like what foods you should be eating, what you should be staying away from, and, helping you improve your sleep, working on fitness. Speaking of fitness, I'm just going to sidebar for a second. Not everyone is in a place where they should be doing really intense exercise right now. As a matter of fact, most of my clients, when they start working with me, depending on what's going on, I generally recommend either no exercise or really, really light exercise. If your body is super inflamed and really out of balance, adding intense physical exercise just makes it worse. It literally stops your body from healing. So sometimes we have to take a step back from super intense exercise until our body can get healthy enough to actually handle it. So in the meantime, walking is fine. Light stretching, maybe doing some light, easy yoga, something like that would be fine. But you kind of just have to assess where your body is and then give up. You know, a lot of it is, well, we've been taught, and we kind of feel like the only way to lose weight or to be healthy is to exercise and diet. Let that go. Definitely, like, take it from an expert, let that bullshit go. Not everyone, again, is at a place where they can do really intense exercise. And sometimes we are forcing ourselves to do it because everyone else is. And, you know, my cousin lost weight when she did this. And, you know, my best friend lost weight when she did that, or my coworker. So we want to do what they did, but understanding that your body is not their body. Your body is your body, and it could be in a very different place than where their body is. So this is where getting the testing is helpful, because then you'll know where your body is and what it's possible for. What's possible for where you are right now. As you get stronger, as you get healthier, obviously you can increase your level of fitness, but got to start with where you are. Sleep is super important. If you are not sleeping, if you're not staying asleep all through the night, if you're not, if you have problems going to sleep, your hormone balance will be off, and everything else in your body will be off. Sleep is when your body heals and repairs, and detoxifies, right? So we talked about detoxification. If that isn't happening because you're not sleeping, then again, hormones are recirculating in your blood all day long, compounded with the hormones that you're taking in from the food and the water that you're drinking and the products that you're putting on your body every morning when you get dressed. You're just compounding the problem every single day. So if you're one of those people that believe, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or sleep is not important, or I'll sleep on the weekends, I'll just, you know, deprive myself Monday through Friday and I'll make up for it on the weekends. There is no such thing. Once the sleep is missed, it's gone. And there really is no such thing as I'm going to make it up later. So I need you to really understand that you really need to prioritize sleep. That means the dishes don't get done before you go to bed. If that means you have to DVR your TV shows and watch them on the weekends. But whatever you need to do, you need to make sure you are sleeping. So one of the constipation and sleep are the two biggest things that I work with my clients up front. Like, those two things have to happen before we can do any of the deeper work. Before we can do the gut repair, before we can really work on balancing hormones, those two things need to happen. If not, then all the work that we're doing on hormone balancing isn't going to be as effective, because they're not sleeping and they're not detoxifying. I talked about supplements. They are really helpful in a lot of ways. I take them, most of my clients take them, but it's based on the data. It's based on what you actually need now, right? So sometimes I get labs from my clients and I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of shit that they need, but no one wants to take 30 pills a day, right? And so it's like, okay, we're going to prioritize. We're going to do these first, and then we'll do these for a couple of weeks, and then we'll bring in these other things. So it's supplementing smartly, not only to save money, but also so that, you know, your body can adjust and it can do some healing before you dump a whole bunch of stuff on it. So I strongly advise you not to run out and just get all the supplements that I talked about today, but really understanding where your body is and making sure you know what you need, and then getting a good supplement. There's so many crappy supplements sold at Vitamin Shop and GNC and Walmart and Target and all that. Like, I sell vitamins online. I have an online dispensary. All the vitamins in that dispensary come directly from the manufacturer, and I only recommend brands of supplements that either I or my nutrition school professors have thoroughly vetted, because there's so many just crappy supplements out there, and it's an unregulated market. So unfortunately, the labels can say what they want. But it doesn't mean that what's in the actual capsule or in the bottle is what they claim it is. So having someone do the work for you to vet the brands that you're taking is super important. And then learning and practicing relaxation. I cannot stress enough how much stress and anxiety and worry impact your hormones, impact your gut health, impact your mental and emotional state. So learning and practicing relaxation, whether that's meditation, whether that's yoga, going for a walk, listening to music, journaling, calling your best friend on the phone for a laugh, whatever it is. I teach my clients breathing techniques. I help them create a tool chest of different things that they can do in different moments of the day. So if you're at work and your coworker pisses you off and you need to bring it back down before you continue on with your day, I have a really short, like 1.5 minute breathing technique that instantly kicks in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and relax nervous system, so that you can gain some composure, gain some insight, right? It's really hard to make a really good decision when you're pissed off, and then go back and engage with whomever you need to. I encourage my clients to have a daily practice that includes prayer or meditation or whatever they want it to be that day. It can be the same thing every day. It can be different things, different days. It doesn't really matter. But some part of your day where you are actively engaging your parasympathetic nervous system. Again, that's the rest and relax and repair part of your nervous system, so that your body can actually heal. Start with 5 minutes, increase it over time as it becomes more of a staple in your life. But you deserve that time for yourself. I don't care how many kids you have. I don't care how old they are. I don't care what your job says. Taking care of you is the only way that everything else in your life gets taken care of. When you are out because you're sick and you're stressed out, then none of the other things in your life are going to work. So if you can start with 5 minutes and just breathe, listening to relaxing music, whatever feels good to you in that moment, whether it's first thing in the morning, which is ideal because it kind of sets the tone for the day. But sometimes that's not possible. So even if it's before you go to bed at night, taking those moments and implementing some kind of practice for yourself is going to not only help your hormones, but also help your digestion, help healing. You'll feel better. You'll sleep better, you'll think better, you'll make better decisions, all of that. So I'm going to stop the sharing and I will unmute everyone. You guys can let me know if you have questions. Let me know if this was helpful for you.
Here.
You guys are unmuted now. So if this was helpful, if you have questions, let me know. Great. I'm glad this was very helpful for you, G. If anyone wants to have a conversation with me about what's going on with you, about possibly getting some testing done, getting a plan put together for yourself, I will include a link in the replay that will let you set up a complimentary call with me so that we can have that conversation, see what's going on, and find out what might be the best way forward for you. Again, these 8 things are very helpful, but implementing them really should be based on what's going on with you specifically. So I will put that in the email that goes out probably tonight, if not tonight, first thing in the morning. So that you guys can book that call with me if you'd like. So G said, for those with larger stomachs with PCOS, should one wait until after taking the other steps to work on that? I feel like it won't go away without the other aspects taken care of. So with PCOS, if that's the only thing that you know that's going on, you could definitely start addressing the PCOS. But if you have other things that you suspect might be going on, then it kind of depends on what those other things are. I wish I could give you a better answer, but it just kind of depends. So if you want to give me a little bit more information about what's going on, then I can help. But if you want to set up a call, we can do that too, to talk more privately about what you might be dealing with. But PCOS, yes, like the chasteberry will help, the Clary Sage will help. But yeah, cleaning up the diet, definitely going to be part of that. Working on sleep, definitely going to be part of that. Working on stress and relaxation, definitely going to be part of that. Exercise will also be part of that. But again, exercise, depending on where you are right now, will have to be customized. But yeah, I mean, I am here to say, after someone who had PCOS for a really, really long time, it does go away. It definitely does. And it's a wonderful thing. Like I can actually plan my life because I know when my period is going to show up. I know how long it's going to last. I don't have to feel shitty leading up to it. They're not heavy. I would like to say they're pleasant, but you know, I could actually take a period or not. But at least they're regular. I know what to expect, and they're no longer painful. I don't have the PMS symptoms. I don't have the bloating and the extreme fatigue that I used to get. So I'm happy to say that there is a way out of that hell. I know what it's like. But yeah, you can get yourself out of that. So G, definitely let me know if you want to set up a call. We can do that, and we just kind of see what's going on with you specifically and get you on the right plan of action. Anyone else with any final questions? I think I muted all the lines again just so the recording is clear, but raise your hand or add it to the chat box, and we can take it from there. So if you're watching the replay and you have questions as you're watching the replay, then jot them down and send them to me in an email, because I'm not going to be live when you're watching the replay, so I won't be able to answer them real time for you. But you can jot them down and send them to me in an email, and I will get back to you. Or you can book a call and we can talk about them over the phone. Either way. Hope this was helpful. Hormones are the thing that, you know, affect the way you look, the way you feel, and they are the chemical messengers in the body. Their job is to tell the organs what to do and how to do them. So when the hormones are off, everything else in your body is going to be off. Your metabolism is going to be off if your hormones are off. Your ability to have a baby is going to be off if your hormones are off. How you feel emotionally, mentally is going to be off if your hormones are off. And they can be a precursor. They can be sort of like a canary in the coal mine about what could potentially be coming down the road if you don't get them rebalanced. So they are a good indicator of, okay, if you're, estrogen dominant right now, that could be leading to insulin resistance if it already isn't the case. So it's just good to be aware of what's going on with your hormones and to get them balanced as quickly as possible. It's not something that you just want to sweep under the rug, because they can definitely morph into bigger problems that nobody wants to have. Don't forget, too much estrogen in the body can lead to things like breast cancer, uterine cancer, ovarian cancer. And I'm not saying that to scare anyone, but to empower you to really understand what's going on with your own health. Nobody wants cancer, but definitely nobody wants a cancer that they could have prevented had they known what was going on in their body and had the opportunity to make some natural, very simple lifestyle changes before it manifests. Okay, so thank you all for showing up. Thank you for taking this time out for yourself to get educated about your hormones and what might be going on with you, for asking such really good questions. I love that you guys asked all the questions. I will also include a link to the doTERRA essential oil page if you guys want to look around, look at oils. If you want to purchase oils, if you have questions about oils, definitely I can talk oils all day. Email me, whatever, get in touch with me. I think most of you guys either reached out to me on Facebook or Instagram. Those channels are still available. Let me know if you have questions, you're interested in oil and ordering something. You're unsure how to use, you have some oils, you don't know how to use them or what they might be good for. Definitely let me know. I'm definitely on the essential oil train. As you can see, here's my Clary Calm that I was using today on my headache. Love this stuff. And it smells really good too. So it's kind of like a twofer. I don't wear perfume anymore. I used to be a Chanel girl. Not anymore. I don't even know where it is. Literally, I don't even know where my perfume is anymore. So I just use my oils. And I feel better, and they actually are helpful, right? Perfume just smells good, but it's not actually helpful. It's actually harmful. This smells good and it's actually helpful. So kind of feel like I'm winning. And it's way cheaper than a lot of perfumes. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. I want to be done by 9:30, and I am, so yay me. I will email a copy of the slides too. That way you guys have the slides. So you'll get the slides, you'll get a link to Thrive and ButcherBox. I just send in the links. I don't get any money from them. Like, I'm not an ambassador or anything. So if you guys get, if you get your membership to Thrive or to ButcherBox, like, it does nothing for me other than you guys get to have better quality food. That makes me happy. I'll send you a link to the essential oils. And what else did I say I was going to send you? Oh, the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 list. I'll make sure you guys get that as well. Okay. And the link to book a call if you guys want to talk more specifically about what's going on with you. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining again. Have a great evening, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.